From crease to crease and corner to corner, Bettor Hockey Now is NHL fantasy and betting done better. Step into the dot for Bettor Hockey Now on the Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome into episode 8 of Bettor Hockey Now on the Bettor Sports Network. I'm Adam Bernard, and we got the full line today. With me, as always, is Mr. Anthony Rivera and Mr. Christopher Morais. And here's the deal, boys. This is the dog days of the hockey calendar. Not much going on, so you know what we're doing? We're doing a freaking mock draft. It's way too early to do one, but why not? So we're going to get going here in a couple of minutes. I'll get the screen up. We've already in the draft room. It'll just be 3 of us. The rest will be auto picks, but we'll talk about the guys that we pick as we make them and any moves we see. But how are we doing today, gentlemen?
I literally have like the back cave right now. 4 screens are open right now, getting ready for this mock draft in July. So let's do this thing.
I have not been swept away by a tornado yet, so it's going well.
Well, I mean, hopefully we don't see like the back of your house come off here or anything, you know, when the time comes. We'll stay safe. You know, are you in a basement at least?
I'm not. Highest floor possible too. Let's go.
Really? I mean, so maybe you'll roll the dice in the draft today too, the way you're doing it right now. So we're gonna get going here in about. I took pick number 9 because I love being on the turn. Anthony went with pick 7. Chris goes pick number 2. Thank you for not taking pick 1 because we all know that is indeed Connor McDavid.
I mean, that was, you know, I was just doing a service here, you know. I love it.
All right. So we're waiting. So Chris is on the clock now. Obviously, McDavid goes first.
Yeah, I'm going to make this real simple. He's probably going to play with McDavid quite a bit, hopefully. So it's going to be Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, I mean, with a guy like Draisaitl, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's the number 2. We were talking off the air before we came on. Like, if hockey's the only fantasy sport where there's a concise number 1 like McDavid, you can make an argument the top 2 are, you know, the guys to take is McDavid and Draisaitl. A few other guys move there. Mr. Anthony Rivera on the clock. Let's see what we got. So Draisaitl 2, Pastrnak 3, Elias Peterson 4, Nate McKinnon 5, and Austin Matthews 6. Nothing earth-shattering there.
You know, I see. What do I got here? Oh,
like the pick was made for you there, my friend.
it was. What happened?
So it looks like it's a 1-minute clock. And
not even 30 seconds, my favorite.
Shorter than a minute. That first guy got a minute, but we didn't.
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right, so there he goes. How do you feel about getting Matthew Tkachuk at 7 and Jason Robertson goes right after him?
You know what? I'll take it. I was originally going to go Rantanen because that's who I got last year. So I'll take Tkachuk, especially after the season he had this year.
And then after you get Tkachuk, Robertson, who was a huge factor in Dallas this year, gets picked. I go Sorokin there. You know what? I'm getting my goalie out of the way. And on the turn, I'm back on the clock here. Ettinger and then Tage Thompson. Right wing's I mean, it's only forwards here, but I mean, if you're looking for a right wing, Mikko Rantanen is one of the best ones out there, and it's a thin position. So I like the idea of getting my a big right wing early as we got some other pick movement here. So down the stretch we go. Jack Hughes right after him. Anthony gets Kirill Kaprizov there, so he's probably just one away from getting Hughes. A little snipe there. Brady Tkachuk, Rasmus Dahlin, Tim Stützle, and Mitch Marner. So now back on the clock is Christopher Morais, who is picking
Cale Makar, baby. Let's get a defenseman out of the way early.
Get one of the top defensemen there in fantasy. Not a bad move to make there in the late portion of the second round. And then he's back on the turn again after Roman Josi and Jordan Carlson get picked by the auto pick on the 1.
It's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to bite the bullet here as well with a goalie. I'm going to take Igor.
So you get my Rangers goalie there, and Alexander Georgiev goes right behind him. Then Carlson, then Timo Meier. Oh man, just a couple of picks away. It seems like Mr. Rivera not getting any of his Devils here.
No, not at all. And what I noticed was that I was on auto pick, so they were picking for me.
There you go.
So, you know what? Why don't we take Connor Bedard here? Go a little risky and take Connor Bedard.
So in a redraft league, we could talk about that, but in a dynasty league, is it crazy to take him after Draisaitl at number 3? I don't think so. I mean,
I
in
don't
a
think so
dynasty
either.
league, to lock a guy like that up for a long time as I'm on the clock here. All right, I gotta get another good forward going here. Let's get Mika Zibanejad. Yeah, guy at center.
Got to get the Ranger in there.
Back on the clock there for me. Point and Eichel go with the turn. Those are 2 good picks by the auto pick there in this 10-team draft. I have not looked at defenseman yet, and I'm not gonna because I'm taking William Nylander. If he can produce the way he did last year, I'll take that in round 4.
Let's see what we got here.
I mean, assuming he stays in Toronto, right, and they don't ship him out.
Yeah, but I mean, he'll still be a top 6 guy, top line guy where he goes. Even if his production dips a little bit, still for round 4, I don't mind it.
I'll take my first goalie and go with Linus Ullmark.
See, I don't know if he's a guy that I don't know can he repeat the numbers last year? Probably not, but he is on a very good team, so he should be a pretty reliable producer there and a guy that shouldn't have too many bad outings.
My favorite is for ESPN is when you look at where they their projections rank, and then you're like, how does this happen? How does Andre Vasilevsky get 52 overall on the board here? That's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're falling that far. That's a hell of a pick.
I don't know if he fell off the planet, but so I've settled my goaltending situation. I'm glad that I've gotten that figured out here. A lot of good choices here. I'm gonna bet on a little bit of upside here. I'm gonna go with Adam Fox.
Yeah, if he was still there by the time the pick got back to me, I was absolutely looking at him since I don't have a defenseman yet. But that's the way it goes. Anthony's back on the clock now. Brandon Montour going right before Fox. Yeah, so some of this auto picking is not ideal, but hey, we're just trying to this is our first mock draft for the 2023-24 season. We're just trying to get a feel. We're just trying to see who goes where. We're just trying to have a little fun here on Bettor Hockey Now.
We're gonna go defense here. We're gonna go Charlie McAvoy.
Not a bad pick at all. And there goes Mr. Alex DeBrincat with the newest member of the Detroit Red Wings. Got to talk about that for a minute while I'm on the clock. Chris, how do you feel about the fit with DeBrincat in the Motor City?
I mean, if he's looking to make the playoffs, that's not going to happen. So hopefully he can rack up some points, some goals. I thought he would be a candidate to score 40 plus playing in Ottawa. That didn't seem to happen. And I don't think he's going to score 40 plus this year in Detroit.
I mean, if you like you said, if he wants to go for a winner, then he I mean, granted, the Islanders were the other rumored team, and you're not going to do much winning there either. Ovechkin's still there as a forward. I got to take that. Okay, I'm going to grab Ovechkin there in round 6. And again, the rankings may be a little bit off, as ESPN was the only site that I could find that had a mock draft going right now for the NHL. So a little bit at their mercy. Everybody's got their platform they prefer. I'm not a big ESPN hockey guy. What platforms do you guys prefer to play on? I'm personally a Yahoo guy.
That's where I spend most of my time as well, reluctantly.
I did my first league last year, and it was the ESPN one, and I won that one. So I think I might stick with it, unless someone here is going to do a Yahoo league. Are we going to do a league here before the?
We'll definitely have something formed here for Bettor Hockey Now. That is for damn sure.
I got Kyle Connor sniped by the robot. That's kind of fun. Man, I'm gonna go with Clayton Keller. I feel like not enough people are talking about him. Man's just out here carrying the Arizona Coyotes wherever they need to be.
Wherever they'll let them play, whether that's on a college campus.
And I'm going to take the future 50-goal scorer of the Montreal Canadiens here, Cole Caulfield.
All right. So there goes Caulfield, Dylan Larkin. There goes Sidney Crosby, Adrian Kempe, Rasmus Anderson. Anthony's back on the clock here. I've got my eye on somebody that I'm hoping you don't take, but we'll see what happens.
Fun fact, I traded Cole Caulfield last year in one of my leagues. This was 4 games into the year. I traded him 1-for-1 for Austin Matthews.
Wow.
I received Austin. And I mean, in the end, Caulfield got hurt, so it was washed. But that was definitely a time to be alive there.
So Anthony takes Dougie Hamilton. He gets his defenseman there at 7-7, who is a guy I was considering at one of my picks, but that's not going to happen. Sebastian Ahos, who I take at 7-9. Back on the turn for me. I feel like I got to pay attention to my blue line at some point, and I'm going to take Victor Hedman.
It's a good pick.
Where do we go here?
At some point, it's so this is a basic 10 team. It's forwards and D-men. You know, I prefer to do like center, left wing, right wing, actual positions. But again, just trying to have a little fun here with a mock draft on a platform that actually has one going right now. Love that Fiala pick there by Anthony Rivera at 8-4. I was even considering that, but again, needed to address my blue line a little bit.
Yeah, going a little back-to-back with some guys that I had last year that kind of led me to a championship. So, yeah, Fiala, Hamilton, those are my guys, man. Can't let them fall through there.
I'm going to take a gamble here. I mean, if he plays 50 games and, you know, averages a point per game, I'm happy with it. I'm going to take Letang.
The second you said if he plays 50 games, I knew you would.
We all knew, huh?
Yeah, like I'm looking, and I was looking right at him, like if that's another, because again, I haven't gone defense heavy yet.
Gotcha. And then I'm gonna double dip here as well on a defenseman, and I'm gonna hope that he gets the spot that he needs. I'm gonna go Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, I like that.
If that Edmonton power play can be good, and that's my fourth defenseman on a 10-teamer, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I don't love how I've handled defense so far. I probably got a little greedy waiting on Adam Fox, and I'm going to pay the price for that. But we'll see if I can maybe pick it up on the back end here and scrap some stuff up here. As Anthony is on the clock, he takes Bowen Byram from Colorado. Alex Tuck from Buffalo goes after him. You do not take the guy I was looking at for defense. I'm going to grab Quinn Hughes here. I think he can really have a nice big breakout year this year on the Canucks blue line. Let's go back here. I'm back on the clock.
Solid assists. You'll always get a nice bunch of assists from Quinn Hughes.
And in a category league, you know that you cannot listen. Getting assists from your defenseman in a category league, it's not like a suggested way to go. But if you got a guy that racks up a bunch, like a Carlson or somebody like that, you got to do it. I'm back on the clock here. I mean, Panarin still being there. Don't know why that is. But take full advantage of that.
You know, something that I noticed in my league last year, when it comes to goalies and days off, I do like having a goalie tandem. So I am going to go Swayman and have the Boston tandem represent for myself.
Could not agree more. Definitely, if it's a league where you can have 3 or 4 spots dedicated to goalie with bench and stuff, absolutely want to have that tandem. And no, I got a team locked in that I'm going to get 80, probably 75 of that team starts that year if everybody stays healthy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Tyler Toffoli here. If I'm getting this kind of value in round 10 for a guy who's gonna join an even better offense, I'll live with that.
Yeah, that was a good pick there.
And the player that I wanted on the turn is also still there. I'm going to take Johnny Gaudreau. Somebody's got to do something in Columbus. They're going to be losing a lot of games. So he's going to be on the ice, hopefully 20 some odd minutes. He can stay healthy, maybe do something. That'd be kind of fun.
Be playing next to Fantilli as well, probably once they figure that out. So, you know, that'll certainly help because that's all they had was Gaudreau last year. There was really not much offense to speak of. And he wasn't able to really do a whole lot without anything around him. Now he's starting to get some stuff around him. So Anthony back on the clock here. You know, the Toffoli pick you made. If Panarin wasn't there, that was a guy I was looking at, but I saw Panarin. I'm like, I gotta grab that.
Again, tough here with some of the picks now. Oh man, I will go with Kopitar.
Kopitar, can't go wrong with that forward pick. You know he's going to produce. Dawson Mercer goes next, right after him. Let's see, what do we got here? Not looking at the blue line quite yet. Again, I'm going to take Joe Pavelski to have one more fantastic year in Dallas, especially with the tools they're putting around him. And then I'm going to go back to goaltender, and there's 2 guys I'm looking at. And the way I've been talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins on the show, the way they've been building the offseason and the trades, got to grab Tristan Jarry here. He's going to get a bunch of wins probably. So I got to take that there, even though there was another goalie I was considering.
I just put him on my queue list. Thanks for that.
I saw the reaction as I was leading up to that pick.
Oh, man. Okay.
I'm going to take a guy who had a really good playoff run this year from the Vegas Golden Knights.
I'm going to buy you a Barbashev Golden Knights jersey at some point. I'll be in Vegas in September. If I see a good one, I'll get it for you.
I'm gonna go all risk, all reward here. Same story. If he plays 60 games, I'll be really happy. And of getting Malkin, I feel like he's a point per game player in his entire career. So that's all I'm banking on right here. And I'll be real happy if he continues to do so. That'd be kind of fun. And let me look here. I'm gonna go down here again. I'm gonna go high risk, high reward. 10-team league. I think he can bounce back. No Daryl Sutter. Doesn't matter who's around him. He's got to pass the puck to somebody. Jonathan Huberdeau.
He killed me in a league last year, Huberdeau. I drafted him high, and he just fell flat on his face.
Oh, yeah.
And Thatcher Demko was the other goaltender I was considering. He went at that turn pick after Chris took Evgeny Malkin. And Anthony on the clock here. I've got my eyes on somebody that I'd really like to get 2 picks away, so please select him.
I'm going to keep running it back. My guys keep showing up. I'm going to keep running it back. Hampus Lindholm.
And the computer sniped me. All right. Let's go back to the drawing board here. 30-second clock's not giving me a ton of time here. You know what? As I scroll through here, I'm going to go grab Chris Kreider. He's still playing in a top 6 role with the Rangers. He still produces. I mean, it's not a bad pick there. Now I'm back on the clock and wanted to take Thomas Chabot, that previous pick. Did not get it. Figured I could wait on Shea Theodore, and oh, what happened? He would have got me again. This is not a banger. Screw it. Let me get Morgan Riley here. I mean, the Maple Leafs blue line, he's going to produce. We're in a points-heavy league right here. That's a guy that I don't mind as my third defenseman. He's not going to give you much else but besides the offensive categories. But this is not a banger league right now, so that doesn't matter as much. Nice move. Barzal is a good value for that, where he went at 14.5.
I'm going to take the forgotten man here in Winnipeg. Pierre-Luc Dubois is out of town. He's going to get an opportunity in that top 6. Maybe they get 1 more year if they can't move Connor Hellebuck to make a run for it. So I'm going to take Nikolai Ehlers.
Smooth move.
On the turn here, I'm going to complete my defense. I treat them as regular NHL GMs do, which is you can never have too many of them. This team is going to be bad all year, but he is going to see opportunity to do something. And that's Mike Matheson. Really had himself a decent year last year. He could shoot the puck. He could block shots. He's going to play the top power play. Something's got to happen there.
Like the move, and at this point in the draft, this is where you start shooting your shots. This is where you start getting the guys that you want because they may not be there by the time you get around. So good move there. And as a defenseman, I appreciate that you like having a lot of defensemen around because we get overlooked.
You can never have too many. That's what I've been told. So
still some decent names out there as Anthony's on the clock. Not going to say any because I don't want to tip a potential hand there. And he takes Keandre Miller, who just signed a little contract extension there with the Rangers. He certainly started to produce more offensively last season.
Definitely towards the latter part of the season as well. More in the second half, I saw a lot of goal scoring and points picked up for him. So
I grabbed Drake Batherson there. Expecting Ottawa to take another step. Good little presence there in the top 6. Tyson Barrie and Ryan Graves go back to back. So I've pretty much punted on defensemen because there's still. You know what? I'm going to do it. Brent Burns, Carolina. I know they just added Dmitry Orlov, but, Burns is still going to have a presence on the power play. He's still probably going to play on that top pairing. And it was my 4th defenseman in the 16th round. I think that's a good move.
This guy I picked up last year, I drafted him. And then I had to drop him because he was having issues. It comes back, gets traded, and starts playing well on St. Louis. I'm going to take a chance on Vrana again.
I mean, if it doesn't work for him in St. Louis this time, that's probably the end of the road for him. But worth a shot. He's got the talent. He's proven in Washington and Detroit when he does have his spikes of productivity. Very good player.
I'm going to take a goalie here. I think it's a good time to add a third goalie. I don't know what's happened to him. I know the injury risk is there, but I mean, Frederik Andersen didn't die overnight. He's still on a very good hockey team. So whatever I get out of him is going to be pretty good. And I'm going to take my first risk on a rookie. I feel like at this point, pick 162 in round 17. I can get something out of him. I'm going to pair him with Johnny Gaudreau. Adam Fantilli, welcome to the squad.
Did think about him earlier, but I wanted to get Burns there and get my fourth defenseman short up. But certainly a good pick there. And I mean, unless he just has a miserable camp, he's going to play in Columbus at the start of the year, and he's going to get a ton of minutes to start when he plays. So I'm sure he'll have his moments where they, reduce ice time. He needs to learn a little bit, but bottom line is he's going to get plenty of opportunity, and if they keep him with Gaudreau, he should produce nicely. All right, back on the clock here. Anthony, you went with Philip Danault.
I'm hoping with the arrival, of Dubois, that we don't start seeing a less time for Danault, and he still gets his points that he got last year.
So I take Mark Stone there. Hopefully gets a full season out of him. We don't play games with the long-term injury, and then, he's good for the playoffs. Look at that. Going back to what Chris was talking about earlier, but it's a good time to get that third goalie situation sorted out. And when you look at who's the guys that are going to absolutely start this year, got to take Jonas Corpus. You know what? I'm going to go Jacob Markstrom to bounce back in Calgary for the Sutter factor. Almost went Corpusalo, but I think, like Chris said earlier, getting just a curmudgeon like him out of the room, just getting it's like when you go to work in Florida or Anaheim to play hockey and the weather is nice. It's like the same thing. Like, you don't dread going to work because old Daryl's going to be getting on my ass about something again.
You know what? I'll go goalie too, but I'll take Vegas's goalie. I'll go with Aiden Hill.
See, the Logan Thompson factor worries me there because I could see that being a split. So just a hint there, if you're going to get Hill, might want to think about somebody else too.
I'm going to continue to load up on offensive skill with players who play with offensively skilled players. And Vander Kane, he seems to have found a home here in Edmonton. He hasn't gotten himself in trouble in a minute. So I'll definitely like to pair him with my Leon Draisaitl. And I'm going to, again, high risk, high reward here at this point. He's got a new home. We know he can score goals. He's going to be playing on a power play with the greatest goal scorer one day in NHL history. So I'll take Max Pacioretty.
There you go. If he stays healthy, great pick there. Sean Dursey being taken by the computer there. I actually really like that pick because, he's going to get opportunities there in Arizona with the power play and on the top line and the top 4 units. Logan Couture just going at 5'5" was kind of a snipe. I was hoping he would get back to me, but alas, he does not. And Anthony's on the clock here. Takes Jonathan Marchessault. Takes a guy who had quite the playoff run there, and certainly not a bad pick to make this late in the draft.
That is a good pick.
All right. I got 15 seconds here, and I don't love what's available to me. I got to start shoring up my blue line a little bit. I hope Chris Letang gets hurt, and Jeff Petrie ends up getting some of that power play time. So that's the move I'm going to make there.
That's fair.
Now back on the clock here, looking at, let's see, all right. Would it be totally crazy for John Klingberg, who I'm going to take there as my bench defenseman, to actually see some production in that Leafs lineup? And we all know he's defensively deficient. They're not expecting him to play defense, but I think plugging him in with all that talent around him, it's going to have a trickle over effect to him, though.
I hope so. I think that would be fair.
Marchand there by Rivera. Anthony, great pick there. Late.
Shoring up this bench.
I'm going to stick with the forwards, and I think the Daryl Sutter effect is going to be in full effect in Calgary. If they don't play well, at least they are going to be fun to watch and to be playing catch-up hockey. I'll go with Nazem Kadri. Like that's where I'm at.
I like that move too. Like you said, if the weight really is lifted off everyone's shoulders, we're going to see a lot of people bounce back this year. So Crisp on the turn here.
There's a lot of good options here now. I'm not going to add another one yet. Defense is too early. I got a lot of good things that I like here. The clock is probably going to run me out. I'm going to look at Jonas Corpusalo as a 4th goalie in Ottawa. Can't hurt. You don't give him money to sit on the bench.
Exactly. So Korpisalo goes, good move there. Ekblad this late, he's fine for what he is. Victor Arvidsson there in the 21st round. He certainly has a nice little fit in LA. Anthony on the clock here. We'll see what he does.
Going to go defense here and take Dmitry Orlov.
The Carolina Hurricanes are certainly going to play him if enough with that paycheck, so he'll get ice time. I'm going to actually, I like the idea of going with a fourth goalie. I'm taking Cam Talbot in LA. Same philosophy as Tristan Jarry. He's probably going to get a decent amount of wins, even if he doesn't have, even if it's close to a 50-50 split, see. I think he'll still get a decent amount of wins. I could have taken Bobrovsky there, but I don't know. I feel like Spencer Knight, if he gets everything, his act together, he's going to quickly eat into Bobrovsky's workload. And with my last pick, I'm going to take Nick Schmaltz because when he played, he actually produced for Arizona. It's not a sexy pick, but he gets things done across the board too.
I'm going to take the advice of my fellow host here, and we're going to go Logan Thompson.
Yeah, you should listen. You shore up Vegas's goaltending share. Maybe it leaves you a little thin on the bench at the other positions, but you should win at the goalie categories a lot. Chris making his last pick now.
Take not really a chance here. I expect him to do well no matter what. New home. They needed some depth. He's going to be able to bounce around the lineup. Hopefully he takes Anthony Duclair's spot in Florida. I'm going to take Evan Rodriguez.
Ooh.
I like that pick to close the draft. So there you get to see my team pop up on the screen there. How lovely. Let's get that. So, we talked with obviously the rankings were a little bit off because they literally had nothing to put them. So there were some guys that maybe got lost in the shuffle and the queue and stuff like that. But it was fun to get one out of the way. And I think it was a somewhat accurate representation of like the stock of some of these guys right now. When you look at your respective rosters, who's a guy you were really excited to get and who is a guy that you had to settle on but had to do it?
I guess if I'm looking at it here, my team is going to go one of two ways. Either we're going to do really well this year or the IR spot's going to be full week one into the year. And we'll just never recover. So we're either going to finish last or we're going to finish at the top. I really like getting my goaltending situation and my defense situated kind of after 5 rounds. I know some people try to push the defenseman later, but when it comes to elite defensemen, we're talking elite. And 60 plus points is elite. I would say 50 plus is very, very good. You're not going to find a ton of those defensemen. You're going to find a ton of NHL players who can put up half a point per game, right? Like the 55 point guys, you can find them on the waiver wire. So if you need to kind of patch your team, you can do that. You can't do it with defensemen. So I really like that I can, I got Cale Makar early there, Adam Fox as well, Chris Letang. I know, guys who are going to play power play minutes as well, guys who are going to play on good power plays. I want to maximize as much opportunity as I can. I think maybe the one player I'm just not really too sure, but I'm going to do it anyways, is Adam Fantilli. That's the guy that I want to see what he can do. Taking a rookie is always a risk. You don't know how they're going to produce in the NHL, but the situation in Columbus is, there's not much to love there outside of, Laine and Gaudreau. So if he sticks, he's going to play. He's going to play a lot. And if I get 55 points out of him, I'm all right with that.
Nice. Anthony, when you look at your roster, what do you got?
Well, I definitely went back to what made me successful last season and tried bringing a lot of those guys back. Obviously, things can change during the year. Different years happen. One of my goals is always to get a goalie tandem, and I did that twice. So, especially when you got Boston, you're looking at Boston and how they finished the year. You got the world champs in Vegas. I think I ended up pretty well on that end. And, Connor Bedard, he's going to be talked about a lot this year. I know he's on a team that's not ready yet by a long shot, but interesting to see what he can do considering that, he has been labeled towards the Connor McDavid of the world. So interesting to see how he'll contribute, points wise this season, if at all, doing anything big for us.
So for me, when I know I usually agree with Chris on the defenseman philosophy is you got to have that one like cornerstone guy. I like to have almost two, like a tier A and a tier B guy. So that way, if you lose one to injury, you're still okay. But you have to really get, and I wasn't able to do it in this mock. Maybe I waited a little bit too long. But you got to have that one cornerstone offensive defenseman that's going to contribute in, at least an assist, going to get you maybe 10 goals, 15 goals. If they, saying the season Erik Karlsson had, I don't think you're going to see that out of him again, but something approaching that, or an Adam Fox or a Cale Makar, like they really have one of those guys that okay, at least if I get nothing but guys who fill in, especially in a banger league, defensemen are a great way to add those categories up. If you could get one strong offensive guy, and then you get like those hits, blocks, plus minus, all those kinds of categories, later on from the blue line. For now, I look at my team, like I said, when I took Rantanen, if this is a league where there's center, left wing, and right wing positions, Rantanen's a very good guy to have at right wing because right wing's very top heavy. And it's a position where when it gets thin real quick. And then it really just doesn't matter who you get at that point. And that's potentially a position where you can maybe try and cherry pick certain categories to try and help you out if you're not going to get a well-rounded guy across the board. Ovechkin, until the guy stops producing, you can't predict the fall off for him. Like there's no reason to expect that it's coming.
He's been on the decline for 7 years, I've been told. So
exactly. And it's not even that he's been on the decline. He's an old man that figured out I can set up in the office and I'm still so damn good at what I do. We all know it's coming. Half the time they don't even leave anybody covering me anymore. And he still does it. So until that shot goes away, he's still a force on the power play. He's still going to get close to 40 goals, if not more. So, I mean, that's a guy you got to like there. I stacked Panarin and Kreider. The Rangers they're a scoring team. I'm a little bit of a homebody there too, but nonetheless, don't mind having those guys on my roster. Guy I had to kind of settle on, Petrie. Defenseman got away from me, and I'd like to have a much better defenseman 4 or 5 in this lineup. I think Hedman, Hughes, Riley, Burns, it's a good 4, but I really needed to have a stronger 5 to round that out. And this is why we do mock drafts. We learn, you learn when guys are going, when stock's happening, and figure it out. So I love my goaltending, Ilya Sorokin. I don't bother with Varlamov there. We know Sorokin's going to get the bulk of the workload. Got Jarry in Pittsburgh, and then Markstrom, and then Talbot. So I got 4 guys who are going to start. It's not the tandem philosophy, but I'll go through a season with those 4 guys as my goaltenders, no problem.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you snagged Ovechkin right before I could pick him on that turnaround. So yeah, he's a guy that everyone keeps saying it's going to fall. Even I thought it was going to happen last year. That's why I kind of stayed away. But that was a lesson learned, and I would not make that mistake again. So good pick on that one for sure.
Now, we talked about Connor Bedard and where you took him. What round did you get him in again?
I got him in round 3.
Got him in round 3. So we talked about where Bedard would go. He's a first round pick probably in a dynasty league draft. Is Fantilli a guy that you would potentially in a dynasty draft try and go and get early, or is he more like it's kind of like the draft where it's Bedard and then maybe a few rounds go by before maybe you start looking at a Fantilli in around 4, round 5, or should it be earlier than that?
No, I would say that's kind of the thought. I think Connor Bedard is just on a whole other planet right now, and what you're going to get with him. And even if let's say it takes him a full year, right? Like, let's say he has a really bad year this year. And by bad, I mean, he has like 55 points, right? Like the expectation for him is really, really high. And with players, comparable to him, or at least people want to compare him to, you're talking about the McDavids of the world, the Crosbys of the world, the Ovechkins of the world. They had really successful first years and they were elite. So even if he doesn't have a great year, I still think he has the opportunity to build into exactly the player we think he's going to be. Let's not forget that he's playing in Chicago and there is not much going on around him there. So it's a lot to ask a player like him to be able to come out and just finish with, 50 goals, 100 points kind of thing. Like, that's a lot for him to do all by himself. He's not, I don't think he's that kind of guy who can do it all by himself, right? I think he needs some guys around him. This isn't junior hockey, so you're not going to be able to torch everybody and make defensemen look like cones. So he's going to need some help. I don't know if he has it around him to get it done. But I think that he can, to me, in a dynasty, he can be one of those like first round picks. Like you said, after McDavid and Draisaitl, if you took Connor Bedard, I wouldn't tilt my head to the side and go, wait, what? No, I would say, no, that's on par.
A name we did not mention, we talked about the first and third overall pick. Leo Carlsson doesn't get drafted in our mock here. And, in a dynasty league, he's definitely on the radar. He's definitely a guy you got to take, but he's probably a guy you don't look at till probably after round 10 in a dynasty league, because you're not going to get a payoff from him this year because the Ducks are going to probably bring him along slow. You got no, whether you move Zegras to the wing permanently or you give him another shot at center. You got Mason McTavish that can play center, Strome that can play center. Killorn is now in the mix in the top 6. So Carlson's going to get brought along slowly. So he's a guy I look at, maybe somewhere in rounds 10 to 15, probably in the middle to late end for Leo Carlsson. Now, Anthony, you had a couple of top-notch Devils not get to you. Which one bothered you more, missing out on Hughes or Meyer?
I think missing out on Hughes because I had auto pick on and I did not even realize it at the time. So it just automatically didn't even take like the 10 seconds. So I was wondering why it was taking so long. But yeah, Jack Hughes is definitely the guy for me over Timo Meyer for sure. I really would have liked to have him. And then like they both just got picked, right? Like a pick before me. So, at least I got their best defensive offensive defenseman in Doug Hamilton.
And when you look at if Meyer plays on the right side, and depending upon what eligibility requirements your league has and all that stuff, if he plays on the right side and he should be right wing eligible, if he plays on a line with Hughes or that Devils offense, he's a guy that I'm looking to target very early. So that's our first mock draft, which we'll be doing many of as we lead into the season here. And we always like to leave on a little bit of a different question. So this week, I'm going to throw it out to you guys nice and easy. What was your first ever hockey jersey?
That's a good one. I know it's a Habs jersey. That's for sure. But I can't tell you who was on the back of it. But I know it was that.
Okay.
100%. As you can see, the wall behind me here, as I try to change up the office, is red, blue. The ceiling is white. You can't see it, but that has been the theme for me since I was a kid. So I know it's a Habs jersey, but I can't remember who would be on the back of it.
Did you mean blue, blanc, and rouge when you just spoke there? Was that
rouge? Always, yes.
Is that what you meant to say? Okay, Anthony, what do you got there? First Devils jersey.
Just a plain red one. Nothing on the back of it. No names. I've never been, big on player names of the players that we have right now because they can either be traded or free agents. I always go for legends, but I have not gotten a legendary Devils jersey. It's just a plain red one.
So, and I agree because I used to get a range of jerseys a bunch. My first was a Brian Leach blue jersey. I want to say it was like 19. It was my graduation gift from elementary school. I'm going to age myself here, 5th grade in 1994. So yeah, so that's a long time ago. It still kind of fits if I lose like another 20 pounds and I could probably still get into it. But yeah, I mean, Leach is my favorite athlete of all time. But I totally agree. Like, there are a lot of people out there that are watching, listening, that I'm sure like they go through a phase where like they buy jerseys left and right. And then you get to a point where it's like, oh, I spent how many hundreds of dollars on this jersey, and the guy left, a year later, 2 years later. And I agree. I'm at a point now where like the blank back or going with like a retired number or a franchise favorite that's already gone, like you can't go wrong with that. So like
that's my Alex Galchenyuk Winter Classic jersey that is now just sitting in a closet, never to be seen in public again.
I own a Sean Avery jersey. There you go.
Okay.
I have a Rangers Luke Robitaille jersey. That's another, but it was fun while he was there for a year or two. That was fun.
I've switched to like the t-shirts instead because they're not as bad now anymore. So when I have a Chris Higgins one, that one, okay, it's fine. The Galchenyuk t-shirt is always. I got the Ilya Kovalchuk. I knew what I was signing up for that when he was here in Montreal. Like I understood it would be like a summer fling, here for a good time, not a long time kind of thing. But I felt like that's one of those things I wanted to like just own. But I've switched over to t-shirts now because, like you said, the jerseys get expensive, and I'd much rather have a name on the back just because I enjoy it, and I try to pick players, and I'm like, hey, you're going to be here for a minute, and if I've learned anything, it's that I am the curse to these players. So if I get your jersey with your name and number on it, good chance in the next 2 years you'll be somewhere else.
Tried and true method. I mean, I got when the Rangers had the navy blue Liberty jersey, when that was the big one back in the late 90s. I got a Messier one, and then he left for Vancouver like that later that year when everybody thought like, oh, he's coming back to the Rangers. There's no way he's leaving. No way. And then he's in Vancouver. And
I'm gonna go buy a Mike Hoffman jersey and see if I can speak that one into existence. Maybe even a Yoel Armia one, Christian Dvorak one. I'm just gonna go out and spend a couple of $100 on some jerseys. Hopefully these guys get moved here. That's just the power. Yeah, with great power comes great responsibility, but that's what I'm trying to speak into existence here.
I mean, what you could try and do is if you itemize it and do an invoice and send it to the Canadiens team, maybe they'll reimburse you. They'll consider it a business expense. If you help them with their cap, I mean, I'm sure it's worth like $1,000 to you.
I don't think I'm not deep enough in the analytics yet to be able to help or the cap situation. Like, I feel like Kyle Dubas had that all centered down when he's got all these names and trying to like figure out how he was going to get his lineup every night to be cap compliant. No, I'm maybe I don't know how they're gonna do that. I mean, there's only so many contracts Arizona can take, and I don't know if Anaheim's in the same boat right now, if they'd be open to taking some bad deals with them.
And I know that, and this is a topic for another time, but like with Arizona, man, like if you're a fan of that team, bless your heart. Like seriously, like you're staying a fan of a team that has no prospects or future, doesn't have a home, doesn't have anything to look forward to for at least the next 5 years. Because even if you had
Logan Cooley would like a word with you, Adam. Logan Cooley would like a word.
Logan Cooley knows how to get me on Twitter. It's right there. When you look at like even if they had good ownership come in, even if they righted the ship today and everything turned around, but the state that franchise is in, it's going to take them years to just get to a point where they're like, all right, now they're a dark horse playoff. And yeah, things can happen quickly in the NHL. Man, that franchise is just set back so many ways. Like, I don't know. Okay, if
you're news about Alex Galchenyuk broke, right? That they had let him go after signing his deal, and it kind of came out that he got in trouble with the law. And like I was reading that as it happened, and I was like, that doesn't surprise me. It's very Arizona-like to have that. It's kind of like Anthony would know, right? Well, like when bad things happen to the Mets, you're just like, oh, it's the Mets. Like it's what happens, right? So when I was reading this, I was like, oh, okay, well, it's the Arizona Coyotes, so that makes pretty much a lot of sense here.
Or you hear stories about like some people like that like go in and out of prisons, and sometimes they get arrested on purpose to go back because they it's cold out or they're hungry and they know they could get a meal. Maybe Galchenyuk got in trouble on purpose in Arizona because he knew, like, all right, if I get in trouble, they're probably not going to want to keep me. And then but I don't know if he's really in a position to dictate those kind of things. I think you got to be a little bit better than that. Not to crap on your guy or anything, but
no. Look, like I said, the jersey's up. It was a memory of a time, when we all thought he was going to be elite, and that just wasn't the case.
The Rangers had a guy like that in their history, Nikolai Zherdev. He was a guy that like he had like 2 months, like so he did it with Columbus too. Like he'd have like 2 months where you're like, this is the guy right here, and disappear, and then you never heard from him.
That happened, yeah.
But Anthony, any closing thoughts here?
I would just
sorry to bring up the Mets on a hockey pod.
You threw him for a loop there.
It's all right. It's all right. We all know how they end up. I was going to say, when it comes to the jerseys, if I was going to collect the players' jerseys, I would do, Jaromir Jagr and go across all the teams that he's been and try to collect all those. I think if I was going to do any player, it would be Jags.
I think you'd have to take out a mortgage just to be able to afford all the jerseys that he has worn. Like, are we talking just NHL ones or also the ones back home that he's worn?
Oh, not just NHL ones. Yeah.
You still have to take out a mortgage, I think.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to get just NHL jerseys, let's go through his roster. So obviously the Penguins, then the Capitals, then the Rangers, then the Flyers, the Stars, the Bruins, the Devils, the Panthers, and the Flames. So you need 9 jerseys there. And if you want to you got to do home and away. You got to do both. And what if they got a third jersey? Now, like, it gets out of control real quick. Like, all of a sudden, we're buying 27 jerseys.
I forgot he played for the Flames for a brief moment.
That was 22 games. Listen, he had 7 points in 22 games. Listen, if on that pace on an 82 game season, sure, I'll take 35 points out of Yager. Why not?
Wow.
But that was one thing.
I saw him play here at the Bell Center when he was in Florida, and just watching him protect the puck was a real art because, like, obviously his foot speed wasn't there, but that didn't slow him down at all from being able to just do whatever he wanted with the puck. He's also he was a big boy. Like a lot of people look at him and don't think he's like a big guy, but he was he was up there in stature.
I'll say this. I went to a few Ranger games with credentials back in that era. Jaromir Jagr and Alexander Ovechkin have 2 of the biggest asses I have ever seen on an individual in my like. If Jaromir Jagr or Ovechkin digs their skates in and decides that like they're playing that position, that's it. You're not getting the body on them. You're not moving them. They are just tremendously thick human beings. Like I feel like you could punch either one of them anywhere on their bodies and you're going to break your hand. Like they're just dominant. And hey, Jagr, I mean, he was fun on the Devils for a little while when they had him.
That is true.
But we're going to wrap things up here for this edition of Bettor Hockey Now for episode 8 on the Bettor Sports Network. We'll be back with you for episode 9 next week. We're going to move our recording days I think we're going to move to Friday next week. So you'll probably get us next weekend versus a Thursday, Friday drop here on Bettor Sports Network. But for Christopher Morais and Anthony Rivera, I'm Adam Bernard. Talk to you next week here on Bettor Hockey Now.
Bettor Hockey Now is on the Bettor Sports Network.